Gambordella, and I'm going to share with you some secrets to develop self-confidence. What is self-confidence? How do you gain self-confidence? Today is a day when your group has to make a presentation to a client. This is an important occasion because it is an opportunity for you to get your boss's attention, and it could mean a raise or a promotion if you could just muster the courage to stand there in front of these people and present your proposal. The problem is your shyness gets the better of you, and you are relegated to the background. You sit there mesmerized as your colleague Elena makes a winning presentation of your proposal. She stood there dressed in a simple gray suit that spelled confidence. Why can't I gather enough courage to present my work to these people when I know this project like the back of my hand? You ask yourself that. Self-confidence is what you're missing. This is what you lack. And this is what your colleague Elena has. But what is self-confidence? Is it the ability to speak in a loud voice and to get your people's attention? Is it all about power and how you dress? Is self-confidence an attitude that is characterized by a positive belief that one can take control of life's situations and life's plans? People who are self-confident are those people who have acknowledged their capacity to do something and then proceed to do it. These are the people that make things happen. They don't rely upon the approval of other people in order to affirm their existence. It is enough that they know that they have the capacity and the potential to do something and the guts to do it no matter what others might say. People who are not self-confident don't do this. People who are self-confident take advantage of the opportunities that come their way. Now, there are factors in gaining self-confidence. While the process of attaining self-confidence starts from childhood, an adult can still learn to gain self-confidence through his determined efforts and the support of his family and friends. Parental support and acceptance. People begin to develop confidence while they're growing up. The role of the parent in instilling self-confidence in their children is very important. Parents who are always critical of their children without acknowledging the latter's strengths unknowingly dampen the development of their children's self-confidence. On the other hand, parents who are always willing to give support while encouraging their children to take a step forward will most likely develop great self-confident children. Parents who make their children feel loved and accepted despite their imperfections will most likely encourage self-confidence in their children. Lack of self-confidence is not proportional to a person's abilities. In fact, there are people who have extremely talented abilities but lack the self-confidence to show these abilities. If you're wanting to get self-confidence, then you must continually do things that will help you gain confidence. Identify your strengths and weaknesses and capitalize on them. Make full use of your strength and gather positive points. This will help you gain self-confidence. Do not expect everything to be perfect because you are bound to find something wrong along the way. Nobody is perfect and everybody is capable of making mistakes. Acknowledge your own abilities and talents and take stock of them. Do not underestimate yourself. Try to recognize every little thing you have done which has become successful, and try to learn a new skill and try to learn new things, as this will make you a better person and more confident. Look for things that make you feel good about yourself. It could be photos of a past achievement, like when you won a race or you won a debate, or it could be a poem you wrote which was published in a book. Concentrate on things that you have achieved and take it from there. This will give you more confidence to do other things in your life. Developing self-confidence is not easy, especially if you do not think highly of yourself. If you want to be self-confident, avoid things that will discourage you from gaining confidence. Do not dwell on past mistakes or failures because it will make you feel insignificant. Being a defeatist will not give you confidence. It will not give you a boost. Better yet, concentrate on positive things that you have done and accomplished and make them your inspiration. In time, you will have more faith in yourself and hopefully more confidence. In the upcoming chapters, we will narrow our focus and we will look at specific ways to come up with the definitions and ideas and suggestions that you can put to work in your life to achieve increased confidence in all you do. So let's talk about chapter 2. What are the natural enemies of self-confidence? Fear. The natural enemy of self-confidence. Self-confidence is generally described as the ability of an individual to have faith and to believe in his or her abilities. According to the psychiatrist, when one has self-confidence, it normally results in having greater self-esteem. Self-esteem is defined as worth, that which one can place on himself. It is his measurement of his own value as a person in agreement to his behavior. In addition, it is referred to as a respect and adoration of which one holds himself based on one's belief in what and who he is as a human being. This greatly affects one's feelings about themselves and their life, and about his relationships, and eventually determines his actions and how he will accomplish things. The progress and growth of self-confidence correctly starts with self-examination. The mind should be thoroughly inspected so that detrimental inclinations are checked, weaknesses are eliminated, and the right patterns of thoughts and behaviors are established firmly. According to study, fear is man's enemy, hiding self-confidence. These studies stress clearly that the fear thought is an illness that can be detected and identified. It largely arises from corrupt mental patterns wherein the mind is allowed consistently to dwell on doubtful thoughts, inefficiency, and failure. The power will become great when one freely allows affecting your life to a less or to a greater degree in virtually every understanding. Ignorance is the basic and the prime cause of fear. That when one is not aware of his own true nature, they are fearful. A study showed that when one was convinced or has encountered his indestructible, infinite soul nature, then one will never fear again. However, there are those who cannot or do not accept this. Thus, they feel separate, vulnerable, susceptible, and isolated. Fear of one's own self is demonstrated in several ways. You can experience shyness, diffidence, bashfulness, timidity, and the need for self-confidence. Here are some factors that contribute to one's own fears. When one feels separated, fear increases. A fact is that one does not fear those which he is familiar with, people and surroundings. Fear arises when there are certain feelings and estrangements which exhibit overall sense or impression or suspicions, things he doesn't know about. Attachment to individuals as well as material things associated with one's security causes one to fear that one might lose them. So one will do everything in order to keep one's relationships and possessions of his self-image. Strange surroundings and unfamiliar people bring about fear. Unfamiliar situations threaten one's security, and usually one reacts with extreme caution and at times defensive behavior. One negative memory of past experiences where one had either suffered or witnessed loss, harm, or death can aggravate fear. The subconscious retains memories of the past, and in certain circumstances these are ignited. Imagination at times can create or invent images or trouble of suffering or pain outside of physical truth and reality. Note that imagination can cause problems for oneself. Combat fear by developing self-confidence. Here are a few guidelines. Emphasize your strengths. Focus on what it is that you are capable of achieving and praise yourself for your strength and your struggle and focus on your results. Beginning on a foundation of things that you are capable of doing rather than what you can't do will help you assure that you live and work within your limitations. Talk to yourself. Examine yourself and practice how to handle situations as well as counter negative ones. Know when to stop when you catch yourself in a negative assumption. For instance, when you find yourself demanding perfection, tell yourself that everything cannot result in perfect results. This will allow you to believe in yourself at the same time that you are striving to get better. Evaluate yourself. Practice how you independently evaluate yourself. This will let you avoid the persistent sense of confusion that results when you are trying to rely completely on the opinions and judgments of others. Take those risks. When you face and accept experiences as instruments for learning rather than as possibilities to win or lose, new opportunities can be unlocked, and this can develop your self-confidence and self-awareness and acceptance. Remember, self-confidence can be developed, not inherited, and fear can be overcome because you have the trust and the faith in yourself to do so. Chapter 3. Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection can lead to a vicious cycle of rejection. Philona, a marketing specialist, was one of the biggest malls in town, offered her hand to a client, and then she stood up and walked out to the room with her head held high. She was feeling victorious after closing $1 million deal with a mall sponsor who agreed to shoulder the advertising expenses for their new work campaign. She can already hear her voice singing as she got inside her car and started the ignition. To an onlooker, Philona is a successful woman in the world who will stop at nothing to get what she wants. Of course, they are right. However, the description would not have fit Philona if it was made 10 years ago when she was still just out of college and trying to please everyone due to her fear of being rejected. Yes, Virginia, there are skeletons in Philona's closet, but those skeletons she would rather hang out with in the often for everyone to see than to have them learn and use her experiences. You see, Philona was barely out of college, and she had this unreasonable fear that she was not doing the right thing and that other people would not accept her for what she really was. Deep inside, Philona felt she was talented and beautiful, but when she was faced with all the girls who had more experience in life and career, she began to feel insecure and resorted to mimicking whatever they were doing or even whatever they were wearing. The fear of rejection may have haunted each of us at one time in our life or another. It may be caused by our fear of being or having to be alone, too much dependence on other people's perception of us, lack of confidence, and the inability to control our own life. The fear of rejection is a state of mind that makes a person feel inadequate, helpless, and worthless. It inhibits a person from doing or saying things because of the fear that other people might not accept him or disapprove of their actions and their words. A person who is so concerned about what others may think of them could not make his own life more miserable because he can no longer speak his own mind, nor can he do the things that would normally he want to do on his own. The fear of rejection can paralyze a person and discourage them from trying to be productive. A person's uniqueness disappears the moment he puts primary emphasis on what others want him to be. A person too caught up with pleasing others will start to emulate other people from the way they dress to the way they behave in society. This usually happens to our young people who crave attention and acceptance and do not yet have enough basis for self-assurance. This is detrimental to a person's growth because there is no more room for self-expression, only for self-denial and the thought of pleasing others. A person who fears being rejected can be characterized as a person who acts without confidence. A person who is not sure of himself will tend to imitate others and keep himself from trying new things. Such lack of confidence will ultimately make such a person unhappy and bitter. Keep opinions to yourself. A person who is not vocal about his performance of things may be having trouble with rejection. He may keep from voicing out his opinion for fear of being criticized. They're usually depressed. A person who does not have the freedom to speak for himself and to express their wants will soon become depressed and no longer have the love of his life. He will tend to act like a remote-controlled robot that cannot make his own decisions. Confusion about his true identity. A person who fears being rejected will end up confused about who he really is. This will lead to an identity crisis and will make him angry at himself and at other people for no reason at all. A lack of self-confidence and self-worth. A person who gives more importance to what others may think of him does not have much faith in himself to start with. This lack of self-esteem may have resulted from feelings of rejection instilled in him by his family or friends. A person who fears rejection will ultimately be rejected by the people he wants to please and who love him. A person who has the tendency to make other people please other people will soon get sucked into different cycles of rejection. His behavior will keep the people he cares about alienated. So you have to be careful. Don't let the fear of rejection cause you to lose your ability to be self-confident. You can be self-confident by overcoming your fear of rejection.